This is a meeting of the faithful, of the converts and the merely curious.
Some Tesla destination chargers won't work.
It's a show and tell of the latest in electric vehicle technology and a platform for EV evangelists.
It's a 1997 Porsche that we converted 4 years ago.
I've driven this car for a year in Canberra and it cost me approximately $15.
Among the spruikers, ACT Climate Change Minister Shane Rattenbury.
Because of the torque you get out of the electric engines, I feel overtaking lanes, so they go like a rocket.
He's new to electric cars, but a firm believer. So Shane, I'm dying to hear about this car.
Sure.
You've been telling people about it all afternoon. It does sound like a bit of a cult, this owning an electric vehicle.
I think so. I think people who get them are really excited by them.
Getting behind the wheel and the Greens leader is a bit like a kid on his P-plate.
One of the things about electric vehicles, they've got terrific pickup. We'll give it a little go down here, Craig. You're within the speed limit, but you can see they've got terrific pickup, and I think that's one of the things that EV drivers really like about them.
It's quick off the blocks, so why does Australia's EV market seem stuck in first gear?
It's starting to take off, but we've only got 950 electric battery cars registered in Canberra, and there's over 300,000 cars registered, so we've got a long way to go.
So what are the real impediments to getting more electric vehicles on the road? Two of the biggies are upfront cost and so-called range anxiety, just how far the car will take you on a single charge. While the cost of cars is falling and batteries are getting better, it wasn't happening fast enough for Shane Ma. So he found a cheaper, better vehicle in Japan. Would you ever buy one of these brand new from a dealer?
No way. If you were to buy this E-Plus Leaf from a local Nissan dealer, I think including on-road costs would be around $62,000, $63,000. And we imported this a year ago for roughly $49,000.
The competitive price meant he could afford a higher spec model with a bigger battery than the standard Australian issue.
In real life, we could probably stretch this car out to about 360 kilometres, really no further.
What advice would you offer to someone who is looking at using a broker to get in a second-hand vehicle from Japan?
Ultimately, anyone moving to an electric vehicle, that's a good decision on their behalf. Looking at those alternative channels obviously comes with risk and reward.
Ben Warren is National Manager for Electric Vehicles at Nissan Australia. He says the biggest risk of an overseas import is the lack of a warranty. But he does understand the temptation for consumers because, by their own admission, manufacturers aren't sending the latest or cheapest models down under.
When you can only make so many cars, you have to prioritise where you send them. And so though naturally the markets that have the more progressive policies and objectives and targets are the markets that get prioritised over markets like ours.
So we're missing out?
We absolutely are.
That's a bit of a cop-out. The fact that Australia is a small number of people in a global market, that hasn't stopped us from being the world leader at adopting solar. We're one of the world leaders in adopting home batteries. There's no reason why we can't get the latest and greatest in electric vehicles as well.
Advocates argue the big car makers just won't take a punt on the Australian market while they're getting such mixed messages from government. They say it'll take a big stick like higher taxes on conventional cars and more carrots like the ACT's offer of free rego before we see more EVs on Australian roads. If the future is electric, what about Australia's older petrol cars? Well, up in the snowy mountains, Conrad Gibbs working on a surprising solution.
It's just a motor with probably half a dozen moving parts and two bearings. There's not a lot to it really. And no maintenance and very cheap running. Our Beetle costs approximately $3.80 per 100 kilometres to run on electricity. It's cheap.
For 12 years now, Conrad's been tinkering with classic cars, retrofitting them with supercharged battery power. The end result is more Back to the Future than old clunker. He admits the motoring purists probably won't go for it, but there's still a queue stretching out the door for a classic conversion.
We are pretty much all booked until sometime next year. So it's definitely a growth, grassroots cottage industry that's going to go well very soon, I feel.
Whether it's old school style, Japanese imports, or fresh off the showroom floor, an EV revolution is coming to Australian roads.
We're trailing the pack, I guess, against comparable OECD nations. But I guess the positive part of that is there's a lot of opportunity for improvement.
There may be a public will to get behind the wheel.
That's running.
But it'll be up to governments to show us the way. Craig Allen, ABC News, Canberra.